All right, so boom, welcome back to another episode of the Black Caliber podcast. Today, we're sitting down with someone who's been at the heart of public service for years, Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. She represents Pennsylvania's 4th District in the U.S. House of Representatives, and she's built her career on fighting for justice, reform, and mental health resources. From the classroom to the State House and now to Congress, she's carried the same value of service, hard work, and integrity every step of the way. This episode is about leadership, resilience, and what it means to serve, not just in politics, but in life. So lock in, and this is a conversation you don't want to miss. All right, so today, like I said, we're here with her, and also I'm introducing one of my newest co-hosts and newest host of the Black Caliber podcast, Adam Green. So
it's lovely to be here. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So to start off, how are you feeling today?
I am doing well. I'm feeling better since I just met the both of you. And I'm pleased to be on Black Caliber Media. So thank you.
That means a lot. So for listeners who may not know who you are in your journey, could you share what got you into public service and just who you are as a human being?
Oh, I'll try to tighten it down. But right now I am so privileged. I serve as a member of Congress for Pennsylvania's 4th Congressional District. We have 17 congressional districts. So mine is most of Montgomery County and then most of Berks County to the west. I have been in Congress since I was sworn in 2019. I ran in 2018. And the reason I ran for Congress was I was a state representative in the minority in the state house and frustrated by our politics, really wanting to do more after 6.5 years in the Pennsylvania House, not able to bring up my own legislation, always struggling in the minority. And the defeat of Hillary Clinton, to be very honest, I realized I had to do something more. And so I had the chance to run for Congress, and here I am, lucky, really lucky to be in Congress at any time. But I actually think it's even a greater privilege and responsibility in these incredibly difficult times. So I'm in my 4th term. I got to public service at first as a young person, when at 18, I was asked to run for office. And I did. Crazy, a little teeny office called committee person. And I went around and knocked on people's doors with a little flyer saying, vote for me, and I won. And so that instilled in me sort of the bug. And I thought someday after I get my education, get my family going, I'll get into politics. And so I've had the real privilege of being both a state representative and now a member of Congress.
Very nice. Very nice. So in my family, running for some sort of public office is like kind of foundational to the Green family, right? And
I know that about you.
Yeah, right. One of the things that I've done for my mom actually is, door knocking, trying to get people to follow, get a good following, to get good voter turnout. And that seemed to be like her biggest challenge that she had to overcome. So when you were first running for office, what do you think yours was?
Oh, door knocking. Yeah. It's two things, door knocking and raising money. Because campaigns at every level cost money in order to get people to A, be introduced to you, and then B, to understand why you're running, what you care about. So the calling people for money is a terrible part of the process. I hope someday we get public financing of elections. And then the other is the knocking on doors. At first, oh my gosh, I don't know about your mom, but I felt so shy. I was happy to knock on doors to promote you, for example, or somebody else. But when you're promoting yourself, you feel naked. You're just like, here I am. I really want to make a difference for my community. But I have to tell you, it turned around. When times got tough in some of my campaigns, I'd say, get me out on the doors. It's almost like a tonic, because you're talking to people, you're talking to your neighbors, and you're finding out what matters in their lives. So, and it's very powerful. I'm sure your mom knows that. Anybody who's run for office, people literally are impressed that you took the time to knock on their door and ask them, what do you care about? What are the problems in your life that I might be able to make a difference in? But knocking on doors is a challenge.
So going to that idea of going to your community and seeing what they need and what they need in a public servant, how do you feel that even at the highest level, working with your constituents, how do you feel that the ideas of your constituents influence your vote in Congress?
Well, thank you for asking me that. And in this incredibly challenging time, I do it every time, but I'm collecting constituent stories to see how some of these bills that have passed, not with my vote, to be very honest, but some of these bills, how they are impacting my friends, my family, my neighbors, or strangers who are constituents. Their stories really matter when we help a constituent. Sometimes it advises us in terms of introducing legislation. We have legislation that literally has come from constituent stories that we have brought to the floor of the House. Some stuff we get passed, and right now in the minority, I'm not getting much moving, but actually I did get one bill signed into law by our current president. But constituent stories really help us and help us see where the gaps are in what government does and how government serves.
Yeah. So what is your most recent bill that you got signed into law? That's exciting.
It is exciting. If you happen to have listened to the president's joint address, traditionally called the State of the Union, but in this case, because he had just been sworn in, it was called a joint address to Congress. The president spoke almost nothing about legislation, but for one bill. And it was because Mrs. Trump, Melania Trump, was supportive of a bill that I had introduced with Republicans, and it was also introduced in a bipartisan way in the Senate. The bill is called Take It Down. And so the president earlier this year signed, we got it passed in the House, passed in the Senate, sent it to the president for signature. What it does is it requires social media platforms to take down non-consensual sexual images, whether they are AI generated or actual images. And it requires them to take those down when they get notice of them. And so to be able to have the president sign that bill into law, to finally do a little something about the scourge that is, sometimes it's called, sextortion or revenge porn or whatever you want to call it, so harmful to so many people, especially young people, more often than not, young women, young girls, but it also affects men. So to have the president sign that into law was really powerful.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things like that happening with like AI now, like making explicit videos with AI. Was that a part of that, or is that something that you hope to work on in the future?
I want to work on it more. I really think that we, Congress, are woefully behind telling these platforms that they have a responsibility to not harm people, not just say, oh, well, somebody posted it, so it's on them. No, it's on these powerful platforms. So that's why I was happy this was an opening, but there's so much more to do in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even from a base level anthropology major perspective, I feel like there's not a whole lot happening in the AI field with like regulation or anything like that. So that's actually really comforting to hear that you're worrying about that in the future.
Oh, I am, definitely.
That's actually really amazing.
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you one other bill that the president signed into law in his first term. In August of 2019, I was a brand new member of Congress, and we had a bill, the Stoic Act. And in part, this came from constituent experience. Police officers, as you may know, like veterans, are at higher risk of suicide, death by suicide. And so we introduced legislation that would create grant programs for municipalities, police departments, and their family members to get help with mental health, to try to bring those horrific statistics down. So we got it signed into law in the first Trump administration, never got it funded. So it's on us to get the darn thing funded. But we're reintroducing it now in a bipartisan way. And I'm very hopeful that that'll be the second bill that Mr. Trump signs this time around that we get funded.
Absolutely. And
sorry, I don't understand.
For a second, if you are struggling with mental health problems, call 988, the suicide hotline, if you are on the edge and you need to be talked down.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
doing that. It's a big part of who I am. I will always support. But going back to the bills that you have promoted in the past and that you've introduced, according to GovTrack US, a website that tracks Congress people, it seems like a lot of your sponsorships are for criminal justice and law and stuff like that, specifically when it comes to gun control or the further regulation of guns. So why is that a very important issue to you specifically, and why do you want to, how is it going to benefit the community that you serve by getting these bills introduced and passed Congress?
Thank you for asking me about that. And when you said, what is it called, gov.org?
GovTrack.us.
I used to be a professor, and I would never look at rate your professor. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Almost sounds like rate your Congress member. But it is revealing that I care an awful lot about gun violence, and we're just gone in the wrong direction in this country around gun violence. It's something I've cared about since before I was ever elected to these positions. I was a young mom, and we have 3 grown sons, but I had 3 little boys, and my husband and I took them down in the year 2000 to the Million Mom March, which was to demand more sensible regulation around guns, to do everything in our power. We were demanding of government to do everything in its power, federally and at the state level, to reduce the risk of gun violence. So it's something I've cared about for decades, and I'm sad to say we're not making the right progress. These past several weeks, I don't need to remind you of what's going on, whether it's the daily shootings in communities, it's school shootings, of course, the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk. That same day, a school shooting in Colorado, just out in York, the horrific murder of 3 police officers, 2 others wounded. So it's something I've cared about forever. We all deserve to feel safer in our places of worship, or going to the mall, or going to a theater, walking down the street, whatever it is. So I'll keep pounding the table on that, but we're up against the gun lobby. We are up against NRA money. And sadly, I'll never forget, after the Uvalde massacre, the slaughter of children in their school, I could not get Republican members to sign on to a resolution that I had around that. A resolution. I'm not talking high-powered legislation. I couldn't get them to sign on to a resolution condemning that kind of a horrific slaughter. And that saying we have a responsibility to do something about that. So it's very frustrating. We have made progress. And however, I'm now a Democrat in the minority. We're never bringing up legislation right now. But that's why elections matter, that we do something, to turn away those who turn a blind eye on the epidemic of gun violence in this country. You probably also will see on that website, another epidemic I care about is the epidemic of addiction. And I'm so worried for your age group. I'm worried for every age group, but there's such a high risk with drug use of addiction. And you also don't even have to be an addict. There's such a high risk, as you know, with fentanyl tainting anything, and other drugs coming into the market, the dark market, all the time. So I do everything I can to lift up the issue of substance use disorder, addiction, and the real health threat that it poses. I have a son in recovery from opioid addiction. October will mark 13 years of his long-term recovery. But we have buried way too many young people, and sometimes not so young people, from the disease of addiction, or from the accidental horrific overdoses of these really dangerous drugs. So you'll see me in both of those spaces a lot.
Yeah. You mentioned fentanyl, and I believe I saw something saying that the majority of, now I don't know the validity of it, and I'm really hoping that you can kind of back it up if it's true. majority of fentanyl is coming through the northern border rather than the southern border, but most of the money is going towards protecting the southern border. So is that a true statement? And if it is,
I don't know the percentage, but I do know that that is the reality of what this administration is doing. They're looking very little at the northern border. They're, I think, overdoing it on the southern border. We all want a controlled migration system. I've been to the southern border many times. But you know what, I will look at that issue in terms of where the majority of it is. Yeah. One of the things that offends me particularly is China sends these precursors over, literally flies them over, sometimes it's ships, flies them over, they land in airports in the United States, and then they transfer to Mexico, where they are, this is a big chunk of the market, where they are blended and then brought back in to kill our children. It's incredibly offensive to me. So I support the administration on everything that they can possibly do to intervene, to intercept those precursors, and to shut down the pill presses and other things that are coming into our country.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that the fentanyl market is it's more professional than what it's kind of perceived.
Yeah.
A lot of people simplify it to just people making it in their basement or something and then bringing it across the border, but it's an international trade.
Oh, exactly right. It is global. It is professional. It is a lot of money, a lot of money. I want to lift up, I wear these different bands. I hope I have it. Hang on one second. I met a family this summer. I wear these different bands. Orange is for gun violence prevention. Where's my blue one? Here you go. Mental health. And this one is for a young man, Michael Leonardi, who died of fentanyl poisoning. A young college student bought a pill. I don't know that he was even an addict. I don't think he was. Bought a pill, thought maybe what he was getting was a Percocet or something like that. And it was tainted with fentanyl. And he did not wake up. And his parents they're just heartbroken and heroes. And they're trying to educate everybody. If you're going to use, have fentanyl test strips available, because the pill might look like something you'd see coming out of a pharmacy, but it might have something very, very deadly in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Jordan just said, Narcan.
Keep Narcan.
Yes. Having that.
I carry it with me.
Yes.
I do too.
They started selling it in CVS.
Do you really?
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
I have like 5 of them. I have a lot of Narcan.
You never know when you might meet somebody who might need you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
At any moment, you might need that.
Yeah.
I should actually probably go get some.
We keep them in our office because we have constituents coming in and out. You don't know what kind of challenges anybody is facing. Is Narcan prevalent on campus?
Not that I've seen, no. I've not seen that, but at the CVS, like I said, my mom, she's a nurse, so she gave me a bunch of them.
That's great.
So I keep them, so anytime somebody even references it, I've been giving them out.
That's powerful to do, because what you're doing is you're helping take down the stigma, take down the shadows of people who are using something. And you say, look, I'm here to help if you get into some sort of trouble. That's really powerful. I'm proud of you.
Okay. All right. We are running out of time, but I do have one question that I really do want to ask. Recently, we've seen places like Baltimore invest millions of dollars into after-school programs to keep kids off the street, and that has brought and community-based programs that has brought crime down 22%, which is the lowest it's been in a couple decades, I believe. So on the contrary, we're seeing a lot of money going into police departments that end up over-policing minority communities. And that's only overrepresenting minorities in the prison system. That's where we get the statistic, 13% of the population, 50% of the crime. So rather than funding these police departments that are overrepresenting these minority communities, why don't we either divest money from these fundings of police departments and put them back into the community, or take more money and put it back into the community to actually see a change in crime rates rather than the hope that the police are going to do the right thing?
No, I appreciate the way you asked the question, you framed the question, and you're absolutely right. We know some of the things that work. And so I've been fighting against this administration that is trying to defund, take money back from community intervention, community interrupters. We know in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, in other places that when you invest in community, when you invest in education, I love the after-school programs, give young people an education that is worthy of their future. Every kid, I don't care what zip code, and also give him and her something to do after school, to grow their brains, to show their curiosity. That's the kind of investment we should be doing. Unfortunately, this administration is trying to militarize cities, putting National Guard in. I don't see this administration putting a whole lot of more money into police departments, and they are literally taking the money out of community investment. So it's the wrong way to go. This is also an administration, I'm a former teacher. So when you combine investment in community, after school programs with education, so much of our ills would be reduced. The number of crimes, as you point out, goes down when you invest in our kids. As a state representative, I fought for more money for education and get it even so that the kid in Lower Merion and the kid in Philadelphia have the same quality of education, or in Pottstown, or in Cheltenham, throughout my area, my district. This administration is going the other direction. They want to shutter the Department of Education. They want to defund community investment, whether it's interrupters or after-school programs or weekend programs. And I don't see them sincerely investing too much in police departments, to be very honest. I think police departments need to be funded right size for their municipality, whatever it is, and work in tandem with our educators, work in tandem with the community advocates and those who know how to reduce crime. This administration is not doing that, but we'll keep at it. And your Baltimore statistics are really impressive. Philadelphia has had a reduction also, but this administration in so many of these areas is cutting.
Right.
Especially as a Baltimore resident myself. And we just recently actually got to talk to the mayor, who's been implementing a lot of these programs. And as somebody who's working on creating more after-school programs just in the area, I definitely think that the more funding and the more that we can invest in our youth and other people, I think that can definitely become a major way to lower these crimes and things of that sort.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. I had the honor of, when I was first in, working with Representative Elijah Cummings, who was, I believe, from Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Baltimore proud, and just an amazing human being. I had the chance to sit with him on the floor of the House before his passing and just learn from him. Just a fantastic man.
And especially seeing with the current administration's comments and being an actual resident living there, seeing how different the perception versus the reality truly is.
Yeah. And you remember the president attacked Elijah in the first Trump administration and attacked Baltimore. It was literally the week after that I sat with him and had the most moving talk with him. And I'll tell you what he said to me. I sat down next to him and he said, "Hello, I'm Elijah Cummings." I said, "I'm Madeleine Dean from suburban Philadelphia." "Oh, Madeleine, welcome." And we started talking. He talked about his parents. He talked about his very big family. And he talked about being sworn in. And the day he was sworn in, he looked up in the gallery where his father was seated. And later when they were rejoined, his father said to Elijah, I know you saw me, and I know you saw me cry when you were sworn in. And he said, you probably thought I was just crying with real joy. He said, I'm paraphrasing very obviously. He said, it was that, but it's also what might I have become if I had had an education. These parents did everything in their power to get these kids, including Elijah and his siblings, who all went on to a lot of success. But his father recognized the power of education and that it got his son to the floor of the United States House of Congress. So just Baltimore proud.
Absolutely. It is really, truly amazing what an education can do. And I think everybody really understands the weight of an education. And that's why college is so expensive nowadays. I mean, if we look back at why college is so expensive with Reagan saying we don't want specific people to be educated, right? He understood the weight of education and what knowing itself can give people. So that story itself is actually really telling of how people actually view education versus how people talk about it, especially on the conservative side.
Absolutely. And it's frightening. As a former educator, I taught for 10 years at LaSalle University. I taught writing and rhetoric and ethics. And it's frightening what this administration is doing around education. As I say, to walk in the door hoping and mouthing the words. We had the Secretary of Education, McMahon, in front of us in our, our appropriations hearing a couple months ago. They want to shutter it. And you know why that is? They want an uneducated electorate. It's Orwellian. It is literally Orwellian what they are trying to do, whether it is stifling the media, trying to stifle smart young people like you, stifling universities, clamping down on law firms and businesses and corporations. They are attacking the First Amendment right of assembly and free speech. And they do not want an educated electorate. We're going to do everything we can to fight that.
I think that's a very noble cause.
I think that was actually a great point to leave off on. And before I close out, I've been kind of quiet, especially because since I'm introducing Adam, I definitely want him to take off. I think he did a great job. And I think you were great too. It was a pleasure having you. So just before we close out, could I just get you to say this is the Black Caliber Podcast?
You bet. This is the Black Caliber Podcast, and I am proud of Jordan Hall for starting it, creating it, entrepreneurial as you are. And I love that you're collaborating now. Adam, was this your first podcast in collaboration?
In collaboration, this would be my second.
Second. Well, you're a terrific duo. Thank you very much, Black Caliber.
Thank you.
Thank you.